in the hall, and we will be going on to our next speaker. This is the next keynote, leadership keynote. Cybersecurity is solvable, and our keynote speaker is Mr. Anil Valluri, MD and Vice President, Palo Alto Networks. I take this opportunity to introduce Mr. Valluri. Mr. Anil Valluri is the Vice President for the India and SAARC region at Palo Alto Networks. With over 36 years of experience in the industry, Mr. Anil joined Palo Alto Networks, creating strategic go-to-market alliances and scaling the partner ecosystems, while building talent within the organization's ranks in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together in welcoming our leadership keynote speaker, Mr. Anil Valluri. And a warm welcome to you, sir.
Good morning and good afternoon. I'm keeping my presentation very simple and very precise. Give you an overview of what the state of cybersecurity is today and how we can look at it from a solvability perspective. There's a lot of despair, there's a lot of apprehension. Every day there are attacks, every day you hear bad news. There's a lot of phishing attacks, there's a lot of social engineering, there's a lot of ransomware, lots of it going on. And how do we go and solve for the nation, for enterprises, and for ourselves? If you first secure the enterprises, of course, the nation is dependent on a lot of these critical infrastructure enterprises, and then people who are using those infrastructures and services are also secure. Of course, you know that cybersecurity is to do with people, process, and technology. And I will cover a lot on how do we make sure that the people part is reduced, because people are prone to making mistakes, and make sure we tighten the process, tighten the technology, and prevent any cyber attacks. So my theme is cybersecurity is solvable. And to give you a background of what it is, you know that we are in a connected world. There is no way we can escape from being connected. Individually, at our jobs, at our country level, internationally, everything is connected. There is nothing that you do anything other than digital. The more you are connected, the more, of course, is what we call the attack surface. Attack surface is the points of entry that one can have on different areas of vulnerability so the attack surface for all of us is increasing exponentially. And that is what the attack surface is, and presents itself as a vulnerable target for cyber attackers. And then there is data overload. We're doing data across, we're sending financial information, we're selling personal information, we're exchanging business information. All of that, social pictures, events, all of it is available, and it can be, and that's the data is, Dr. Mashelekar has shown the levels of adoption that we've had on mobiles and data, and you can see that there is huge amount of data that it's created, and that is again presents itself as a area of vulnerability. Anyway, workforce, thanks to COVID, we've all moved away from offices into our homes and remote places, and that thing is not going to change, because work has got completely redefined. Work is not anymore a place, it is what you do, and going to work is not going to office anymore. It could be just going to your corner in your room and doing work. And therefore, what it has really set off is, how do you protect somebody who's not on your network, who's on a cafe, who's working from a home, working on flight, working in airports, what have you. And that's a huge vector that gets added to this complexity of cybersecurity. You also know that we now deal with vendors who are supporting us, whether it is a call center, whether it is a inbound and outbound sales call, whether it is a customer service executive or somebody who's supporting us in terms of services. What they do and how vulnerable they are or how secure they are, or also gives you a cue to what you can do, because any vulnerability in a supply chain organization that you have can lead to travel transversely into your organization, and threats can permeate into your organization. And that's the whole supply chain and third-party disruption that's happening. Governments are going very strong on any of the cyber threats. And now, with the new bill, we are now required to report any cyber threat within 4 hours of what incidents is happening in our organizations. Therefore, that's another one that you need to comply to, and that's really very, very tough ask. You need to be able to detect and report any cyber attack within 4 hours to the government. And it has huge penalties and huge fines that can lead to even drastic other measures. So it's a tough world, and it is something which we can't reverse. It's just going forward. Add to that the whole complexity of 5G, add the complexity of the devices that you can get, cameras, IoT, OT, all of that. They are all things that devices that they are again exponentially growing up in terms of the number of units. And that's all additional threat points for somebody who's looking at what's happening here. And this is a state of what it is currently with India. Second most targeted country. Now I hear now we are the #1 targeted country. We just changed, both from individuals as well as state actors who are looking at destabilizing the nation or destabilizing our economy or just creating a racket or creating havoc. And that really tells us that we got to be always on our toes, and one piece can lead to another. One break in cyber threat or cyber attack in one big organization can lead to crippling of lots of other things that are related and connected. Maharashtra and Delhi, Mumbai in that sense, and Delhi most targeted states, 20 times more harassment, and we all used to this. By 9 o'clock today, you need to get your power bill connected, paid, or you get messages on your Blue Dart courier has been seized somewhere. All kinds of threats that are happening. And this is also, there's a lot of social engineering that's happening. Deepfake videos, deepfake voice, what have you. And most of the motivation for all these attacks is economy and money. So it is not just for fun. There is a lot of business that's revolved around that. And 70% of cases were data theft, and because you make money out of it. So we are in a big bad world, particularly India is in the epicenter of a lot of these activities, from outside or inside, but highly targeted. And combine that with what's happening in the industry. If you look at cybersecurity industry, over 3,000 vendors doing different things. Each one is supposed to be special in a particular area of expertise. And this is a unique industry. Cybersecurity industry has always been, unlike any other industry, which has got 2 or 3 or 10 players, this has over 3,000 players. And the market share leader, say Palo Alto is now currently the leader in cybersecurity, and our market share is less than 10%. Typically, market share leaders in any industry are in the zone of 20 to 30%, whereas in a cybersecurity industry, 10%, 8% is leadership, because it's so scattered and so distributed everywhere. And that gets another problem. How do you integrate? How do you put together events that occur in one area of an enterprise to another area of an organization? How do you correlate? How do you make sense out of it? Because each vendor doesn't talk to the other, or each one has a handoff issues in terms of APIs or data compatibility, and the problems are endless. So what do we have to do for these things, right? And also look at the threats, the way they are going. They are extremely sophisticated. What they are using is quantum computing, they are using supercomputers, they are using AI/ML, and the threats are really, really sophisticated. They can create code, they can make it look like you, they can make it look like genuine, and they are rampant. And for people who are uninitiated, the cybersecurity industry, the threat industry, the amount of money that's siphoned off on cybersecurity, if you look at the size of the business, it's over 10 trillion. 10 trillion is the third largest economy. If you look at any GDP of a country, it is the third largest GDP in that sense. So cyber threat industry is 10 plus trillion. And that's staggering because we do not really know that it is so big, and we do not believe that it is so big, and it is actually so big because it is getting off from different sources, different countries and so on. And targets have expanded. As I said, you now have cameras, you have phones, you have watches, you have IoT devices, you have sensors. All of it are prone to attacks because they are not designed for protecting itself against cyber threat, cyber attack, and they need to be really secured. And those are all the vulnerability points for cyber attackers. So the industry is extremely difficult and extremely different, and it is constantly changing. Somebody said one-upmanship is always one-upmanship. The only way we can counter that is deploying, again, lots of capabilities around technology and make sure that we are countering those threats by using strong AI/ML capabilities, strong detection and remediation capabilities. So just to give you an overview, simple overview of what we do and what we tell the customers, what we look at from a industry standpoint, how do you secure, what it takes to be secure, right? And we call it really frustrating framework, but it is what it is. This is the only way it is left for us as organizations or individuals or as nation. So if you look at harden the attack surface, everything that you have, protect first. That is, protect the cloud footprint, protect the endpoint, which is all the devices, protect the application access. Look at the SOC, what we call the Security Operations Center. It used to be manual, it got to be automated. Look at autonomous SOC, which is self-healing, self-diagnosing, and solve problems on its own. Create an autonomous SOC. And that really gets people to find it difficult to attack the core of what you have as an organization. And if we don't do it, attackers will do it, right? And then they get logged into, and then they can spread all over the place. The other one is implement what is known as zero trust access. Zero trust is all about default deny. Do not approve anything unless it is validated, unless the credentials are established. There is no implicit trust. If somebody comes into an organization because you authenticated a login, it doesn't matter. You again authenticate for an application access or a data access or a usage of a particular tool. And this is akin to the whole airport analogy that we give. You go to the airport, you get checked, you get a boarding card, you get checked, but doesn't mean you can take any flight. You again go to the gate, you can get checked, you go inside the aircraft, you again go to only your seat, you can't go into any seat. And therefore, there's constant validation of what you're supposed to and what your role is, and that's all zero trust is. So least privilege access is the norm, and this must be implemented in every organization. The next layer after that core and the zero trust is prevent all known threats. So most of the cyber attackers take advantage of what they've already done, that they've developed a threat, they've developed an attack, and they try, spray and pray, and they get a lot of hits because a lot of us are not prepared to defend against even the known threats, because one organization has learned from it, but the other organization has not kept pace with it and then again get attacked. So what we are really doing is giving a lot of return on investment for the cyber attackers by enabling them to use the same code again and again and get better money out of these attacks. The idea is to make sure that make attackers create new code. They have to develop, they have to spend time and make sure that they are creating newer ways of doing things. So prevent all known attacks, and this can be done by huge amounts of repositories that exist. Like for Palo Alto, we have 15 years of multi-exabyte databases and threat signatures and patterns and so on, which you can use to prevent all the known threats, and they are current. to the, say, last 1 minute or 1.5 minutes. Therefore, anything that goes on the globe is captured, and then there's a referencing that happens, and you can say, this is a known threat, and you can stop. Detect all unknown threats. How do you detect unknown threats, right? Because we don't know what it is. Use a lot of AI ML capabilities to really assess behaviors and detect anomalies. And by using these capabilities, by what we call, not the generative AI part, what we call the precision AI part, use the engine and make those correlations and say, yeah, this one looks like an anomalous behavior, or this one looks like a anomalous access of some data that is not warranted. Use that AI/ML capabilities and detect all unknown threats. So the idea is take multiple, in few seconds detect all known threats, in few minutes detect all unknown threats, but remediate in few minutes or few hours. Earlier we used to take multiple weeks to detect unknown threats. Now it is down to few hours. And to all the known threats, earlier we used to take few hours, now it is down to few seconds. So the ability for an attacker to go and start doing things and move around is minimized. And finally, it's all about security as a mindset. It has to be culture, it has to be awareness, and security everywhere. Security at the code, or the source, the developers put code and put it into the cloud. The DevSecOps is what we use. Code to cloud is what we call code to cloud security, is what we need to use as well. Look at the devices, look at the cameras, look at the sensors, all of that we use in the organization as how do you protect, make sure that's all protected. And security as a platform, not as a product, because it is not a product purchase anymore. It is a platform. We need to look at it holistically from an organization standpoint. And this is what we do for a living. Palo Alto does all of it as a platform, be it in the network security, be it in cloud security, be it in the autonomous SOC. That is what put together, take those 3,000 different pieces of technology, put it into a platform, and we do across 3 or 4 products, that's it. And it gives all of these capabilities across, instead of going across different vendors and different formats and not being able to talk to each other. Here you have the whole AI/ML capabilities deployed. They can understand the threats, they can figure out the new behaviors, figure out the anomalies, and automate the whole infrastructure. So that's the model for how do you secure. And we can now operate, most of it is cloud scale. We can operate at seriously scaled environments, and it's all advancements done with AI. And of course, security as a mindset, looking at every device is what we need to do. And that's how we protect organizations. And now security is solvable, and it is not something which is a point of despair and which we need to really worry about, because everybody knows it's not happened yet, it will happen tomorrow. How do we protect? And it's not like it only happens to somebody else. It can happen to us and to our organizations. So thank you very much for your time, and I'll be around to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anil Valluri, for that very interesting presentation. May I request Mr. Pradip Biswas, Chief Financial Officer of ABP Private Limited, to kindly come forward and present a memento to Mr. Anil Valluri. Thank you very much.